Welcome to Fast Tip Friday. This is Amy Bowser-Rollins with Litigation Support Guru. In today's tip, I want to talk about formatting tabs in Microsoft Word. The reason this is important is because if you're turning your resume over to a recruiter in Word format and they're forwarding it to a hiring manager in Word format, and then down at the bottom of your resume you have proficient in Microsoft Word, you want to make sure that you're formatting your Word document correctly, or they'll know you don't know how to format in Word. Okay, so the first thing I want to make sure is that we have the ruler turned on, which is right here, and that we have show hide turned on. So to find the ruler, it's on the view tab. It's right here. And then show hide is this toggle right here. So you need to have both of those turned on in order to troubleshoot tabs. Okay, so the first thing is a left tab, and by default a left tab is pretty much, people know how to use left tabs. So if I hit the tab key 3 times, you'll see that it's putting a tab at every 5 characters. And that's how Word works by default. So most people, if they want to tab something all the way over, they'll just hit tab until they get to the right spot. But the better way to do it is to set the tabs where you want them to be. So let's hit tab and do tab set 1, tab, tab set 2, tab, tab set 3. Alright, so it's using the default tabs that are at every 5 characters. But if I highlight the paragraph and I come up here, so on this left hand side you can toggle what kind of tabs you want, or you can double click on the ruler and choose what kind of tab you want. So by default it starts at a left tab, so I'm going to put a left tab here, here, oops, and here. Okay, so we have 3 tabs, and now it looks a lot better. You can move the tabs. You can remove the tabs by clicking and dragging them off. So you can reset them. And like I said earlier, you can double click on the tab to get the tab dialog box, which also lets you set what kind of tab. Okay, so that's left tab. That's pretty self-explanatory. The next thing I want to talk about is a centered tab. And a centered tab is not used very much because most people will use a table and center in the cell, or they'll just use centered text. But I just wanted to go over it real quick. So in this example, there's using left tabs for all 3 columns, or the second and third columns, I should say. And you can see their left tabs up here. So let's highlight these 3 rows down here, and then let's change this to a centered tab, which is a upside down T. And then let's put the centered tab about right here. And then let's remove the left tab. Okay, so now you can see that the second column is centered instead of a left tab like it was above. Okay, so that's a centered tab. The next one is a right tab. And this is a really good use of the right tab in your resume. So you know how everybody puts their job position in the company they worked for flush left, and then somewhere they'll put the date range that they worked at the company. And in my case, I worked at a law firm that downsized, and I wanted to explain why I didn't stay very long. So I wanted to put a second item underneath the date range. So right now this is using left tabs, which is what most people would do. So you can see there's a left tab right there. But let's, on my resume, I have a right tab there. So in this example, I'm going to highlight the both paragraphs, and then I'm going to put a right tab over here. Whoops, let's go over here to the left, change that to a right tab, and then right about as close to the right margin as you can, go ahead and put a right tab. And then I'm going to delete the left tab by clicking and dragging it off the ruler. So now you can see this looks a lot sharper, this looks a lot nicer because it's right aligned. So let's move on to a decimal tab. So in this example, it's using a left tab to for the numbers, for the dollar amounts. But we're going to change it to a decimal tab. So I highlight the paragraphs. I can see it's using a left tab. Let's, instead of using this over here, let's double click on this. Oops, I accidentally added one. So you can see this is the one I accidentally added. So I can just clear that. So the one that's at 2.5, I want it to be a decimal tab. instead of a left tab. So let's click OK. This is what a decimal tab looks like, an upside down T with a dot next to it. And I'm going to move it over just a tad. Okay. So the last thing I want to show you is in the header. I'm going to double click to go into the header. By default, Microsoft Word has a center tab and a right tab in the header that you may not have been aware of. So if I were to type, this would be left aligned because there's no tab there. If I hit tab, this is a centered tab. Tab again, this is a right aligned tab. Okay, I just want you to know that the header and footer already have these tabs that you may not have made use of. Okay, that's it for today's tip. I hope you can put this to good use.